I have a special treat for you today, this painting demonstration. The story is about an executioner, a sheriff, and a witch. Check this out.
Once upon a time in a far-off land, a witch stood upon the gallows awaiting her hanging. Alongside her stood the executioner, the sheriff, and below on the ground a crowd gathered from the local town to make a day of watching her die. "Do you have any last words before we hang you by your neck until dead?" the sheriff asked of the witch. "I was not granted a proper trial, and no lawyer was provided to me. What you are about to commit is a travesty of justice and tantamount to murder," the witch replied. "You were caught red-handed. There is no need for a trial. Many witnesses came forth to testify you turned those girls into sheep and used them for your own labor," the sheriff replied. "What? I was not aware anyone testified against me. My investigation was held in private in my office. There was no need to include you. It is fair that I face my accuser. You asked me no questions about the matter, and I had no opportunity to defend myself," the witch replied. "I demand a proper trial in front of a judge." "We are past that point now," the sheriff replied. "These good people demand a show, and I intend to provide them one as your head is torn from your body. The accusation was made, I investigated, and found you guilty. Now let's proceed. Where are these girls that I allegedly turned to sheep? The very least you can do is let me ask them what I did and how I turned them. I want to know what labor I used them for." The crowd murmured in agreement, as many of the townspeople felt this witch was being treated unfairly by a well-known crooked sheriff. Gazing upon the crowd, the sheriff took a good hard look and took a deep breath. "Fine, but we will not turn this into a farce," the sheriff called out to the crowd. "Bring the girls to the front so we can speak to them." The crowd parted and two sheep walked to the front and stopped before the gallows and looked up to the sheriff. "This is a joke," the witch said flat. "How am I to converse with livestock? You turn them into sheep. Turn them back into girls so you can question them," the sheriff said with a snide grin. "There is no need to turn us back to girls," one of the sheep said. "We can talk." "Holy crap," the executioner said under his breath. The sheriff folded his arms in front of his chest and gave out a hearty laugh. "Looks like your plan has failed, you disgusting old witch. Looks like your spell was faulty. Maybe you shouldn't have given them the power of speech." "I've never met these girls, I mean sheep, before," the witch explained. "You obviously have me mixed up with someone else." "Do I?" the sheriff asked with a chuckle. He looked down to the two sheep and held out his right hand and said, "Please, girls, explain to the crowd what this evil, decrepit witch did to you." All was silent as the crowd waited for the sheep to explain to the sheriff what occurred. "She did nothing to us," the female sheep explained. "It was you who turned us into sheep and used us for your labor." The sheriff shook his head in disbelief. "No, sorry, you won't be blaming your situation on me. I have nothing to do with this." "If that is true, then why not call in a judge and conduct a proper trial? She is accused but has not had the chance to defend herself," the sheep replied. "Everyone in town knows you are the evil and corrupt one here. She is a simple woman who ekes out a living, and you condemn her because she is old and feeble. If you don't watch your mouth, you will become the feeble one as the town feasts on you." "I think sheep sounds very good right now," the sheriff snapped back. The witch smiled as she heard the girls testify for the first time. "Listen to the girls," the witch said to the crowd. "They have testified that I am innocent, and the sheriff should be the one with a noose around his neck." "Not me." The sheriff took a step towards the witch and gestured his anger towards her. "There is one huge hole in your accusation, my good woman. I myself am not a witch, and have no powers to transform these girls into anything. If I did, I would have transformed them before they got up here to accuse me." The crowd murmured in agreement. "Maybe you're too stupid to change them back in time," the witch snapped back. "Maybe you didn't know they could speak, and they waited for the right time to let everyone know. Now they have accused you, and now it is your burden to prove them wrong and me guilty." "Do you want a judge now and a proper trial?" the witch asked. The sheriff looked to the executioner and said, "Drop her now." The executioner stood his ground and did nothing. "I said drop her," the sheriff yelled. "I will do no such thing," the executioner replied. "I do not recognize your authority any longer." The sheriff stood stern and grit his teeth as he clenched his fists by his side. "Fine, then I will drop her," the sheriff stated as he approached the lever. The executioner stepped forward and blocked the sheriff from getting to the lever that would send the witch to her death. "You will have to get past me first," the executioner barked as he removed the noose from the witch's neck. "I will not execute anyone without a trial." "Really? You were willing a few minutes ago. That was before I heard testimony contradicting what you accused this woman of. If you indeed have the power, change these girls back now. Stood smugly and looked out to the crowd, who were now restless and angry. I will do no such thing, the sheriff replied. I am the law in this land, and you will do as I say. Hang the witch and slaughter the sheep. We will have a feast this evening as I command. Story by Keith Trim.